may take a seat. We'll invite Andrew up for today's message.
Testing, testing. All right. Oh, that's a little loud, isn't it? Hello, 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 hello. Sure, better. Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. So today I'm here to deliver another sermon because it seems that nobody chased me out of the church last time calling me a heretic. So I'm back for the second round, and to make things even more pressure heavy for me, I decided to invite my parents because diamonds are made under pressure, I guess. So did anybody remember anything from my last sermon? I'm just curious if it left an impression or anything. Yeah, it was about joy. Well, today I want to discuss patience, something that I and I think many others often struggle with. So let's begin with a prayer. So if you guys would all just bow your heads with me. All right. Dear God, I ask that our congregation today hears your word through me and understands the significance and power of your timing. Please be with them as they strive to wait and view life from your perspective today. Amen. Now, how many of you here enjoy waiting for anything? I bet some of you can't even wait for me to break this awkward silence and start talking. It's clear that we live in an age of convenience. If you want food quickly, you can order through Uber Eats or skip dishes, which I do quite regularly. If you need a product immediately, Amazon Prime can deliver it the very next day. If you're looking for a relationship without commitment, you can swipe on Tinder or Bumble. And I honestly can't remember the last time that I had to wait for something that I wanted. Thanks to how easily accessible everything has become, while these services offer very good benefits, they've also made us incredibly impatient. Personally, I find it even hard to read my Bible for more than 10 minutes without getting bored, or to pray for more than 2 minutes without losing focus. I've tried, but it keeps getting harder and harder. I remember a time when I was in Edmonton, and in Edmonton, I was a church intern, and my pastor told me that every single morning that I showed up to my shift, I had to pray for 30 minutes straight. And he would pay me for it. I was like, awesome, free money. I just have to sit there for 30 minutes and I get free money. But it turned out to be the hardest part of my entire shift. I could have worked on youth camp activities. I could have literally just mowed the lawn the whole day. But just sitting there and praying for 30 minutes felt like the longest part of my day. And my pastor was just sitting there watching me the whole time, so I couldn't just say that I prayed for 30 minutes and get on with it. I felt like I needed to check myself into a mental hospital afterwards because I thought I was crazy not being able to sit there for such a short period. But I don't think I'm alone in this struggle. I'm sure everyone in this room has some excuse for not praying or reading the Bible regularly. The excuse, I don't have time, is something that I often hear all the time from my patients on why they don't do their exercises. The response is always the same. I don't have time because I have to do something, something, something. However, you can always find time if you make something a priority. Once my patients start doing their exercises, they improve. Those who don't often take much longer or never improve at all. They waste their time by not doing what was recommended, believing other things are much more important. I believe that we're all focused on things that don't matter in our lives and not concentrating on the bigger picture, which is Jesus Christ. Jesus teaches us many stories about patience and shows that quick fixes are never the solution to the promises that he has for us. Anything of value requires a process, and that process demands patience. You can't truly understand patience without experiencing the time it takes to develop it. Next, I want to share 3 stories from the Bible that highlight the importance of patience in discovering and achieving God's promises. Other way. All right, so the first story is about Saul. I can see that Lexi is sitting way at the back, and I'm going to call her out to go sit at a chair. There's a chair right by Johnny. All right, I'm going to continue on. So the first story is about Saul. Now, after the battle against the Philistines and the return of the Ark of the Covenant, the Israelites demanded a new king like all the other nations. Samuel, initially kind of upset by this request, asked God, who instructed him to grant their wish. Thus, Saul enters the picture, a tall and handsome man who seems perfect for the role of king. However, Saul had many deep flaws that led him to disobey God's commands. Initially, Saul achieved success and won battles against the Philistines. These are the people who literally had Goliath. However, one day, as Saul was preparing for war, Samuel asked him to wait. As he says, "Go down ahead of me in Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. But you must wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do." Saul remained at Gilgal, and all the troops with him were quaking with fear. He waited 7 days, the time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Samuel's men began to scatter. So he said, "Bring me the burnt offerings and the fellowship offerings." And Saul offered up the burnt offering. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived, and Saul went out to greet him. "What have you done?" asked Samuel. Saul replied, "When I saw that the men were scattering, and you did not come at the set time, and the Philistines were assembling at Michmash, I thought, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and I have not sought the Lord's favor. So I felt compelled to offer the burnt offering." Whoops. There we go. "You have done a foolish thing," Samuel said. "You have not kept the command Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. But now your kingdom will not endure. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart and appointed him ruler of his people, because you have not kept the Lord's command." Now, Saul acted too hastily, letting his emotions dictate his actions instead of being patient, which would have yielded better outcomes. Similarly, we often rush into decisions seeking control instead of pausing to listen to God's guidance, which can result to poorer choices. When facing a situation where an army is dwindling and the enemy is preparing for an imminent battle, the decision I'd make would depend on my faith and my perspective. It would be easy to react like Saul, feeling pressure to act out of fear and impatience, and alternatively, I could find myself like the fisherman on the boat, terrified by the storm. However, the ideal response would be to stay calm and patient, trusting that Jesus is with me, just as he calms the storms and grants his victories. Maintaining faith and patience in the face of adversity is crucial, believing that the right guidance and strength will come in time. This man lost the kingdom of Israel forever because he couldn't wait. A 42-year promise was forfeited due to a few hours of impatience. Whenever we come up with solutions that aren't part of God's plan, we end up sabotaging ourselves and wasting time. Saul spent the rest of his life struggling for something that was already his to have. He became obsessed and tried to hunt down David, ultimately taking his own life while fleeing, even though God had destined him to rule Israel forever. We need to ask ourselves, what are we forfeiting from God, and is it truly worth it? Now, God didn't take away that much from me or give me as big of a responsibility as Saul. No armies for me. But recently, the youth team planned a big camping trip for our youths this summer, and it was a huge success. Initially, I really didn't think it would go that smoothly, so I tried to handle everything my way, kind of the Andrew way. I thought since there was only going to be about 8 kids coming, I was like, you know what, I can handle this on myself. But as the camp grew in popularity, we had about 20 kids coming to this camp, and I realized that it couldn't just be me, Toddy, or Johnny running this camp. We enlisted new leaders like my wife Wakey, Grace, and Esther to help out, and we also needed to raise a lot more money at this point to afford this camp. So we set up a bake sale with a very daunting goal of $2,500. We were selling each cookie for about $5, which means we needed to sell 500 cookies. The cookies weren't that great, But with the power of God and the support from our church, I think we met that goal. And at that point, I realized I was not in control because those cookies were terrible, and we like sold $2,500 of that. So I just waited patiently to wait for the next thing, and the next thing was the issue of transportation. Now, we couldn't take 20 kids in our cars. It would be super illegal, and I think people would find that to be a little strange. So I started looking for a bus. I called and emailed about 23 different organizations, but they were either way too expensive or didn't have any buses available. A bus company actually quoted me for like $25,000 for a round trip, and I was like, how are you guys in business? But at this point, I was like super desperate, so I even started looking at limo companies to try and take these kids, but I think that would have looked very badly on the youth parents, so luckily we didn't go through that. One day, my wife found a bus company. It was a super raggedy site, definitely done on like Wix or something. It was not good at all. She told me to try and call these people to get it. But the thing is, I looked at every single bus company at this point, so I kind of, I diminished it down. Like, you know what, I'll call when I have the time. Despite my doubts, I actually did call them, and they had a bus at a reasonable price, and said I didn't have to pay until the job was done. I was very confused and thought it might be a scam, but they actually told me that I didn't have to pay until the job was finished, so I was very, very confused. In the end, the bus turned out to be awesome, and it was perfectly fine. What I couldn't accomplish in 2 weeks, God made possible through my wife's faith in just 1 hour. I realized how much time I had wasted relying only on myself. Trying to disrupt the natural flow of God's plan was detrimental to me, and forcing what is His work required an enormous amount of energy. During this time, I was stressed, frustrated, because I allowed external circumstances to dictate my emotions. I was upset that I didn't have control over these things, and God really humbled me, showing me that I need to take a step back and let Him work. When I finally did, it was so easy it felt like undeserved, as if I hadn't worked hard enough. But I suppose none of us can work hard enough to truly deserve God's grace. The second story is that of Noah. I think most people are pretty familiar with Noah's story, but let's go into a little bit more depth into Noah's story. He was instructed by God to build an ark to save humanity and animals from a great flood. What many don't realize is how long it took Noah to complete this monumental task. It is estimated that Noah spent approximately 55 to 75 years building this ark. Wow. Noah had to wake up every single morning to build this ark alone. And if I were him, I'd likely question God daily, thinking it was a colossal waste of time. As humans, we're deeply fascinated with time, recognizing its limited and precious nature. Consequently, we create plans to maximize the time that we have on Earth. We strive to save time and ensure it's used efficiently. But in doing so, we often end up wasting a lot of time worrying about all that. While we focus on building efficiency, we forget to be mindful and present in the moment. Our preoccupation with losing time makes us overlook that every moment, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, holds potential for beauty, connection, and awareness. Each second can be transformative, having the power to change a life, or in Noah's case, the entire world. Now imagine being Noah, working on this massive project day after day for 50 years without seeing a single drop of rain. He probably got mocked every single day by everyone, like, what are you doing, Noah? Like, are you seriously still doing this? But no matter what anybody said, he trusted in God's plan and continued to work hard. The patience and unwavering commitment to his long-term goals are beyond my comprehension. Sometimes I get anxious if my paycheck is just like one day late. Yet Noah persevered through decades and decades of building in anticipation of God's promise. That's the essence of patience. Learning it requires going through a process. Many of you here may desire things to happen without understanding that necessary process. This idea is best explained in this movie quote here, where Morgan Freeman portrays God and the woman is married to Evan, or in this case, like the Noah, who is building an ark and struggling with her faith. And there's no sound. Oh, there is.
Excuse me. Are you all right? Yeah. No, it's a long story.
Well, I like stories. I'm considered a bit of a storyteller myself.
My husband, have you heard of New York's Noah?
The guy who's building the ark.
That's him.
I love that story. Knowing the ark. You know, a lot of people miss the point of that story. They think it's about God's wrath and anger. They love it when God gets angry.
What is the story about then, the Ark?
Well, I think it's a love story about believing in each other. You know, the animals showed up in pairs. They stood by each other, side by side, just like Noah and his family. Everybody entered the ark side by side.
But my husband says God told him to do it. What do you do with that?
Sounds like an opportunity. Let me ask you something. If someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience? Or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If they prayed for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them opportunities to be courageous? If someone prayed for the family to be closer, do you think God zaps them with warm, fuzzy feelings? Or does he give them opportunities to love each other? Well, I gotta run. A lot of people to serve. Enjoy.
Testing. Oh, it's good. All right. So when you ask God for patience, he doesn't simply grant it to you. Instead, he gives you the opportunity to practice patience. And patience might come in the form of a micromanaging boss, an annoying sibling, or rejection from a job or a university program. It's through facing these challenging processes that can we truly learn and develop patience. If you haven't already gathered, I struggle with patience in everyday life. And I often attribute it to my various factors, like societal influences or my upbringing. However, I've come to realize that I've only learned the necessity of patience through facing different challenging situations. These experiences have shown me that lacking patience harms not only myself, but also those around me. Patience enables me to develop tolerance and compassion for others. I'm someone who tends to hold high expectations of people without really any reason. I expect others to behave or think a certain way, and when they don't, I easily grow frustrated and lose patience. This is something I encounter frequently in my clinic, especially with patients who don't follow my advice, and it's challenging for me to empathize with their lack of progress. Reflecting on God's perspective helps me understand that He likely feels similar frustrations with me every single day as I struggle to follow His will and repeatedly make mistakes. This realization has taught me to have more tolerance for others, because none of us are perfect like Jesus. Holding on to unrealistic expectations not only hurts others, but also harms myself. As the great psychologist Viktor Frankl says, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Now, Jerry, imagine someone offers you a position as the manager of a Fortune 500 company, handling billions of dollars. Would you accept this job position? Sure. You'd likely accept it without much hesitation, unaware that the contract also stipulates that you'll be sold into slavery by your own siblings, or your sister at this point. And while enslaved, you're falsely accused of a wrongdoing by a woman who tries to seduce you, and despite your righteousness, you end up in prison. It's only after enduring mistreatments in prison for 2 years that you finally achieve this management position. If someone presented this scenario to you, would you still take the job? Okay, wow. Time is relative to him. Now, if God revealed to you that you would have to endure immense challenges and hardships for a prolonged period, would you still have the patience and trust to follow his plan? This story is that of Joseph, whose journey eventually led him to the rise and prominence as a viceroy. Joseph was one of Jacob's sons and was favored by his father. Jacob, unfortunately, didn't really hide his favoritism very well, showering Joseph with gifts and special garments. And Joseph really didn't help the situation by telling his brothers all about his dreams of ruling all over them. This eventually led to them actually selling him to a trader out of jealousy. I know, pretty bad. Joseph's trouble, unfortunately, didn't end there. He was taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's ministers. Hooray, you'd think he'd catch a break there. But Potiphar's wife actually tried to seduce Joseph because apparently he's a very good-looking man. And when he refused, she falsely accused him of assault, resulting in his imprisonment. Poor Joseph. Despite his 2 years in prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams of fellow prisoners, including a baker and a cupbearer, and accurately predicting that the baker would unfortunately not be freed and the cupbearer be freed later on. The cupbearer later mentioned Joseph's ability to the Pharaoh as he was pondering over his own dreams, leading to Joseph's release and the rise to power after he predicted a forthcoming famine. Joseph became Pharaoh's second in command and eventually realized his childhood dreams when his family came to Egypt and bowed before him, acknowledging his high position as the viceroy of Egypt. Often we lack the patience we needed to achieve our goals because we fixate on what we want without truly understanding what it entails or the process to attain it. Building a successful business typically requires 3 to 5 years to become profitable. Successful investing in the stock market requires leaving money invested for the long term. If we lack patience and prematurely abandon these processes, we may never achieve our desired outcome. Consider lottery winners who often declare bankruptcy within a few years. They receive reward without the necessary effort and understanding, and thus fail to maintain the newfound wealth. True success in your mind and in God's plan often requires patience and timing. If we knew the hardships and mental turmoil we would face from the start, many of us might hesitate to begin, similarly to Joseph's journey. He endured tremendous challenges before ultimately achieving greatness according to God's plan. When I first pursued becoming a physiotherapist, I never imagined the journey would lead me to move to another country in Europe, where I knew nobody. I faced the challenges of maintaining a long-distance relationship with my fiancée, which, if you guys have done long-distance relationships before, is quite difficult. I lived in a tiny little room with a lot of spiders, but I kept them alive because they kept the mosquitoes out. And I accrued a significant amount of debt, almost $60,000. For some of you, that might be a lot of money. And due to COVID-19, additionally, I also had to wait nearly 2 years to write my licensing exam. I initially thought my path to becoming a physiotherapist would be an easier one. However, my journey took much longer than expected compared to my peers. In the end, God granted me my desire and molded me into the person that I am today. And through those hardships, it was only through patience and faith that I endured those challenging times. I know that more moments requiring patience will come in my life, and I recognize that without God's guidance, I wouldn't have the patience to persevere through them. Now, you might be wondering if I'm struggling, if I'm suggesting that you should wait indefinitely, just wait for everything and never take action in your life. But that's just not true. It's not about how long you wait, but it's about how you wait. When God asks you to serve as a youth leader for 3 years, or prompts you to go back to school when you thought you were done, or when you feel stuck in the same place for years without progress, it's about how you respond during that time of waiting. Developing patience allows you to navigate through these uncontrollable factors without letting them harm you. It brings peace not only within yourself, but with God. There may be a reason why God wants you to continue serving in that ministry, or why you haven't had children yet, or why you haven't found a partner. But instead of focusing on what you cannot control, pray for God's guidance and trust His plan for you. If He has something for you, it will come in His perfect timing. None of us in this room deserve God's love, yet He freely gives it to us. It's easy and effortless from His side, but experiencing it fully requires patience and faith from our side. Let's do a quick recap of our 3 Bible studies that we discussed today. First, Saul's lack of patience cost him his kingdom. His insistence on relying solely on his own abilities rather than working with God led to his downfall. Second, Noah patiently obeyed God's instructions for 50 to 70 years, demonstrating faith that ultimately allowed him to save his family and humanity. This shows that following God's commands faithfully leads to his promises and success if we endure with patience. Lastly, Joseph rose to become the second in command in Egypt because he understood God's purpose for him and endured through hardships to achieve God's promises. Now, I ask all of you to take a moment to reflect and do something that I find incredibly hard. Let's all have a period of silence today for a period of 5 minutes in just silence and prayer, shutting out all the distractions. I understand that this may be challenging, but try to do it and have a good conversation with God. I will time this moment for you, and you guys can get started now. Testing, testing. All right, coming back into it. Yeah. How was that for you guys? Is that good? Yeah. It's a little challenge from me to you guys to try and do this quite often. Try it every morning just to have a 5 minute reflection, just read like a devotional or something and just pray on it for about 5 minutes. I know it's quite hard, but I promise you it gets easier. Next, I have a little video for you guys because as I told you, we did have a youth camp that was quite successful, and it was all thanks to your guys' donations. We made a little video of what we actually spent all of your money on. There we go.
Okay, here we go. We're leaving. Yay, let's go, Cam. Let's go. Filming Melody. Let's go, youth leader Howie. Let's go. Let's go. Wearing a weird shirt, Jonathan. Let's go. Always skinny as a stick, Davis.
Evening, as we go into sessions tonight, just let everyone here listen to your words. Let me pray. Amen. Take it.
I hope during this time everyone is able to respect each other, right? And to love each other just as, God and Jesus told us to do, right? So be patient, be kind. Brokenness and pain is all I know. Oh, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to show you. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I played it. When it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. Can you imagine like Abraham was the forefather of Israel, right? Remember, born across the world, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna be mad.
Whoa!
Hi, I'm one of the youth leaders. I'm just gonna ask you guys a couple of questions here. So when did you guys first come to youth?
I joined youth in 2022. I was actually one of the first people that was in youth, and I joined when it just started. I didn't consistently start coming to youth until about September of 2023, so it's been almost a year.
So why did you guys join youth?
At that time, I didn't have a lot of friends, and I knew this girl called Angel. She came to youth, and I think it's a really good opportunity to make new friends, so I came. Claire actually invited me, and I knew her from school, and she also introduced me to Joyce beforehand, and then I used to go to the youth group at my church, but I kind of felt left out, so I was like, well, it's an opportunity to meet more Christian peers.
Awesome. So what do you think keeps you guys from coming to youth?
I think I really like the atmosphere here because everyone has such a close bond, and we can share about everything. We can share about our concerns, and we can grow in God together. And that's why I feel like these people are like my brothers and sisters. everyone gets to be so close, and I just feel like I can kind of do whatever I want, and no one's gonna like judge me for it, so I can just like be myself here.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you, Andrew.
Hey guys, we're here at Sylvan Lake, just here with the youth. Thank you guys so much for supporting us to be able to come here, just bond and just have fun with the youth, while also just connecting with them and also just learning more about God. I'm Johnny, one of the youth leaders here.
And I'm Nathan, one of the Roots youth members here as well.
Yeah, so for this celebration Sunday that Truth has, we're here just to interview Nathan, just ask him a couple questions about his experience here at the Roots Youth. So Nathan,
Yeah.
when did you join?
So if I exactly remember, I think it was like May 24th, May 24th of this year. I'm pretty sure it was the time where we were all doing that like one brief with like Paul. So yeah, so during those weeks.
Cool. And then what made you want to join? Like, did anyone bring you here?
Oh yeah.
Was it your own decision?
I think the first time it was my own decision because my parents didn't go. But then after that, my parents went with me. I came here because back in the day when I was like this high, when I was like I think around like 9 or 10, I was here, and then that's a lot of memories back then. Which brought me to here.
So, what makes you want to stay? What makes you keep coming back to the youth group here?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. Obviously for one, the activities. Like for example, this camp that we have over here, right? This is kind of like a getaway for us, where we could bond together as friends and many people in one cabin. Also, we also have weekly activities, which we get to like have fun with each other. And we have my favorite is like the board game times or like the sleepovers. So I've never been to it, and also playing in the field near Andrew's house. And also, I think the best part is the friends here. I think the people here are really nice, and that they're obviously really respectful, and that they know a lot to care for others. And, to make them
All right, cool, awesome. So next, we're going to do a couple of some interviews with some of you to see if they actually learned anything at camp. Because I'm not exactly sure what they learned myself, considering I got like no sleep, and I know they got like no sleep. So let's see what they actually remember from youth camp. So I'm gonna bring Howie up here with good old Jerry. Does this one work? Oh. Works over here. Okay, I'll stand over here. Get over here, Jerry. All right, so I'm gonna ask these two boys here. All right, so what was the best part of youth camp for you guys? Huh? Awesome, Howie. Awesome answer. Good Bible study answer there. All right, go, Jerry. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Great answer, Jerry. Great answer. So Howie, what's the one thing that you learned from youth camp? Awesome. Awesome. Jerry, what did you learn? Did you learn anything? A little bit. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So what is one thing that you'll be doing this summer to help you guys become closer to God? Awesome. Jerry, what are you going to do this summer? Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Give these guys a round of applause. I think it's incredibly hard. You guys can go back. I think it's incredibly hard for youths, especially, to become more and more God focused. And I know, like, as adults, we're like, oh, it's super hard. I think it gets more and more hard because if you guys been through peer pressure and stuff like that, which you all have, it's more and more hard to bring youths to God nowadays. And to have really these two committed guys here, it shows a lot, and that we're doing the right thing here. So next, Paul will lead us in our daily bread. So I'm going to take off here.
Is it, this isn't working? Older brother Edward, or you're the older
Supper. You may all rise and please join me in this last song. It's a new one that we introduced at youth camp. It's called Shoulders. I think it's perfect for today's theme. It just reminds us that, you know, there's really nothing we can accomplish on our own, or we can accomplish some things, but it'll be the illusion of that. Really, God is in control, and we can safely put our concerns on His shoulders. And yeah, as we sing this song, let's remind ourselves that.
When confusion's my companion and despair holds me for ransom, I will feel no fear. I know that you are near. When I'm caught deep in the valley with chaos for my company, I'll find my comfort here. 'Cause I know that you are near. My help comes from you. You're right here pulling me through. You carry my weakness, my sickness, my brokenness on your shoulders, your shoulders. My help comes from
prayed for patience and I got a wife. Yeah, I think it'll take me all of my life to understand what women think. It's really, really complicated. Yeah, speaking of that, update on my progress. Been, sitting down and peeing for the past, I think, 3 months now. Initially, it was like, it's really hard. It's like, oh, my masculinity, I'm losing control. I can't do what I want to do. But I think after 3 months, I appreciate it a lot more. Like, it's a lot cleaner, doesn't smell as much. So I really recommend you to try, give it a month's worth of time. I'm talking to the guys. It's really different. You're gonna be like, wow, this is really hard, but I promise you, it's gonna be worth it in the end. Announcements, yes. There's lunch, pizza at 11:30. Just make your way to the cafeteria, get to meet people, and share about life and stuff. And the weather is great, so look forward to going out to a park, or maybe you're heading down to Stampede. Hope you have a good time there. We're always looking for help for volunteers to help in our church. We are growing and always needing help for worship, for youth, for PowerPoint and sound. So if you guys have the availability, just reach out to me, Andrew, or Shelly, and we can get you slotted right in. There's a church barbecue that's happening on July 21st. It's going to be at the Home of Grace, so you're all welcome to come. There's going to be games. We're going to have karaoke. For those of you that came out to the Chinese New Year event that we had, it's going to be like that. So that was a great time. So we're looking forward to this. For Roots, with your generous giving, that's how we run the church. That's how we operate. Serve others. Go to missions. So we appreciate your donations, and we accept e-transfer at donations@truthbaptist.org. And last but not least, we have a newsletter as well. There's a QR code. If you are looking to get connected to this church, or get updates, that's where you can get updates. Basically, you'll be added to the email list, so you'll see that every month. Okay? All right, so have a great Sunday, and that's the end.